Take a boat trip along the River Fal and look closely at the riverbanks because you might just spot some unusual plants growing there. Now, I can't tell you exactly where to look because it's a closely guarded secret, but this crop is unique, and what's made from it brings you a taste of far-flung shores.
When you think of tea growing, you think India, China, or maybe the rolling plantations of Sri Lanka. But no, I've not travelled halfway across the world. I'm in Cornwall at a secret location where, for the first time ever in the United Kingdom, tea is being grown commercially. It's taken several years to get to this stage, but now the Tregothnan estate is ready to launch the first ever real English tea. Jonathan Jones is the head gardener for Lord Falmouth and his son Mr Boscawen at their Tregothnan estate. The tea plantation was his idea.
Back in '99, talking to Mr Boscawen, the owner, we were talking about camellia and the fact that it came here 200 years ago and was introduced into cultivation, really, ornamental flowers, and the fact that all true tea comes from camellia, and that we hadn't, as an estate, grown that before. So, as head gardener, he sent me abroad to look at new plants, new ideas. 7 years later, we have our first tea.
Jonathan has spent many years and air miles learning about tea, but he hopes it's all about to pay off. Are these plants mature enough for plucking now?
Yeah, after 5 years, this is exactly what you'd expect. Nice young shoots.
And 2 little leaves and a bud, is that a tea bag worth?
No, probably another one of those,
yeah.
And maybe 1 more leaf would give you a tea bag. A tea bag is 2 grams normally.
For the last few months, Jonathan and his team have been trying to create the perfect blend, and after a lot of tasting, they think they've perfected several types of tea.
We've produced a green tea blend, a black tea blend, and a single estate, so we've got initially 3 products to offer.
To make sure they've got the mix just right, Jonathan has arranged a tasting session in London with one of the country's leading tea experts, Tim Clifton. The first one up is the green tea.
First one is not quite as attractive, though, is it? I mean, it is a personal preference to some extent, I think, but...
Oops, not quite the start Jonathan was hoping for. He may be more lucky with the single estate.
It's very reasonable. No, I think that's...
That wasn't a vomit of disgust, by the way.
No, that is not... that is not... No, that's got a bit of flavour and it's got a bit of character to it.
Can you detect first flush freshness?
So that's a thumbs up for the single estate.
You can certainly detect the freshness in it. I mean, it would have been more pungent and a bit more zing to it, but I think that's very drinkable too. I think it's very exciting. I think anything to do with new products in tea at the moment is fascinating. It's a great idea if you can produce it in Cornwall. I think it's a great tea. It's a great product, and why not?
Well, that's surprisingly good, I think.
After this encouraging meeting, some hard graft is now needed at the estate, as they're now hoping to sell the tea within weeks. Plucking tea is a laborious business. This year, from their 10,000 bushes, they're planning to sell tea online and at the Queen's grocers, Fortnum and Mason. But they still have to be convinced, and first the tea must be processed.
Normally the whole thing was over in 36 hours, so we've, with the freshly plucked leaf, laid them out here to wither in the sun. You want to let the leaf soften, and after about 8 hours, we probably in these temperatures of 18 degrees, you'd end up with a nice wilted leaf like this, which you just take about 4 freshly plucked wilted leaves, I should say, withered leaves, roll them quite hard, and you'll end up with broken down bits of leaf that look sort of mashed up. That's then forcibly dried with warm electric air, and you end up with this, which is ready to drink.
Right. The tea industry in the UK is worth a staggering £650 million a year. Jonathan hopes to enter the competitive market of speciality teas, but with a price tag of up to £55 for 100 grams, he wants to make sure that his tea stands out from the crowd. Now that the blends are finalised, with less than a month before the launch, Jonathan is back in London for a couple of important meetings. First stop is the Tea Council to discuss the packaging.
The pink isn't the final colour, so don't panic.
I think the box idea is appropriate. The most important thing is that it looks contemporary. It'll work because they're very passionate about it. I think the challenge will be getting the right kind of yields.
Jonathan's hoping he'll be able to convince the tea buyer at Fortnum and Mason to put Tregothnan tea in their shop. It's taken him 5 years to get here, but his hopes of success rest on this very important meeting.
No, that's a nice tea.
Good.
Very good tea.
Do you think there's a market for that even amongst the connoisseurs, or is that going to be more of a general tea drinkers?
I think it's a general tea drinker. I think that the market will be for the single estate.
That's for connoisseurs, really, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a single estate tea.
Jonathan may be about to taste success.
How much can you supply, though, really, as a...
Of this, which is a single estate,
single estate, yeah.
we'll be plucking over the next few weeks. We've got quite a few of these made up already. And I don't know the answer to exact quantities. It could be hundreds, or I doubt whether it'll be thousands of these.
What I would probably do is buy it in bulk, so a kilo bag, and I will sell it loose on the counter. Yeah, so it's worth going to have a look at it. I think that we should put on our lines, yes. Unfortunately, I can only get 5 to 10 kilos this year, but hopefully next year, and if the growing season is there, then hopefully we can get some more. We do over 100 types of tea, 101.
Yeah.
The English tea.
Fantastic.
After that great news, Jonathan went public, going on breakfast TV, appearing on the radio and in newspaper articles.
And in cool climate.
I caught up with him a couple of weeks after the launch for a celebratory cuppa. Oh, what's the matter? Was it no good?
That's what you do. I did actually swallow some because I quite like it, but if you were tasting that all day long, you couldn't possibly taste it.
It's delicious.
Good.
I'm not going to spit it out.
You don't
It's
have to.
really...
You don't have to.
It's actually quite delicate, isn't it?
I
Beautiful.
actually,
Beautiful. The tea is now gone on sale. What's the reaction like?
they love it. This one in particular, the public love. The tea connoisseurs probably would more appreciate the green tea, but 95% of the great British public like tea with milk, and this one is blended for that purpose, and it goes very well with milk.
Where do you go from here, Jonathan?
We've started in a small way with some production this year, and I think we're on the way to an international tea centre, which will be, for the first time, bringing together gardening and tea drinking, this country's two most popular pastimes. I think that's the future.
So, with an international tea centre brewing and the Tregothnan plantation growing, it seems that real English tea has found a home in Cornwall.